Vauxhall Mokka X is the British brand's take on the compact SUV, featuring a raised-up driving positon, chunky off-roader looks and the option of four-wheel drive. And if its Mokka predecessor replaced in 2016 by the Mokka X is anything to go by, it should sell rather well. Keen pricing, strong standard equipment levels and usable levels of practicality are the Mokka X's key selling points. But is it a good enough overall package to fend off serious competition from the Fiat 500X, Renault Captur and big-selling Nissan Juke? Plenty of trim levels, all are well equipped. It says a lot about the Mokka X's equipment levels that the best-selling model is in base-spec active trim. Here, customers are treated to a wide range of standard kit including Bluetooth phone connectivity, dual-zone climate control and Apple CarPlay Android Auto compatibility. Move up to elite nav trim and other goodies such as SatNav, 18-inch alloy wheels, heated front sports seats and tinted rear windows are also included. Broad range of engines, however not all are worth having, offering up 3 petrol motors and 2 diesels. The Mokka X gives customers a decent section of engines to choose from, although try to avoid the 1.6-liter petrol. It's the cheapest engine in the range for a reason, delivering well below average performance and fuel economy, while also managing to produce the most CO2 emissions. The wise money is on the big-selling 140 horsepower 1.4-liter turbo petrol or one of the frugal diesels on offer. Most engines come with the option of 4-wheel drive or a 6-speed automatic gearbox, and in some cases both. Useful, if not class-leading levels of practicality. The Mokka X manages reasonable levels of practicality, with adequate-sized boots measuring up at 356 liters with the rear seats in place and 1,305 liters with them folded down. Space for rear seat passengers is usable, with enough room to keep 2 adults happy in the back on long journeys. The middle seat, although reasonably spacious, is best reserved for children or adults on a short journey. The verdict: the Vauxhall Mokka X will likely sell well thanks to its keen pricing, strong kit levels and smart exterior styling. However, it's not the most accomplished offering in its class, mainly due to its jittery ride quality, high emissions petrol engines, dull drive and cheap filling cabin. As a well-equipped family wagon for taking kids and adults from A to B, it'll do the job. But there are others, such as the Renault Captur, which will do it better. Wide range of petrol and diesel power 2 and 4-wheel drive options. No diesel automatic 4-wheel drive, though Vauxhall has it covered whether you want maximum thrift with a claimed 72.4 miles per gallon or punchy performance courtesy of 152 horsepower. There are 5 engine outputs to choose from, available with automatic and manual transmissions plus 2 and 4-wheel drive. Vauxhall Mokka X petrol engines. Kicking things off is the 1.6i motor with 115 horsepower, a 5-speed manual box and front-wheel drive. This is the cheapest engine available and, unfortunately, it shows. Acceleration to 62 miles per hour takes a pedestrian 12.5 seconds, while top speed is rated at 106 miles per hour. Torque is listed at a lowly 155 Nm. Higher up the range is the 1.4i turbo engine with 2 different power outputs, the first being a 140 horsepower unit, which can be paired with either front or 4-wheel drive with an automatic transmission option for the former. The quickest accelerating versions of the 140 horsepower 1.4 are the front-wheel drive manual and 4-wheel drive manual, powering from 0.62 miles per hour in 9.9 seconds. Lagging behind is the front-wheel drive automatic, taking 10.7 seconds. All 140 horsepower 1.4-liter engines are a good balance of pace and low running costs, but fall short on any kind of excitement. Finally, the 152 horsepower version of the above engine offers a little more speed and comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission and 4-wheel drive only. The sprint from 0.62 miles per hour is taken care of in 9.7 seconds, while top speed is rated at 120 miles per hour. However, such a generous power figure feels at odds with the rest of the car, and although it's reasonably quick, there's a real lack of refinement to the engine. It's smooth and quiet enough when dawdling along at low revs, but give the accelerator a prod and it becomes loud and coarse. Torque for this engine is a respectable 245 Nm. Vauxhall Mokka X diesel engines. There's a choice of two outputs from the 1.6D EcoFlex engine that we've enjoyed using in other Vauxhall cars, thanks to its efficiency and strong gear performance. The lower-powered option produces 110 horsepower and a hefty 300 Nm of torque, coming in manual, two-wheel drive form only. This is your best bet for fuel economy, but as a trade-off you'll have to accept a rough, almost van-like diesel clatter from the engine when moving off and under hard acceleration. Here, 062 miles per hour is dispatched in 11.9 seconds, while top speed is 111 miles per hour. More refined is the 136 horsepower version, with a manual or automatic gearbox, and two all-wheel drive. Curiously, the latter can only be picked with a manual box, so if you want an automatic four-wheel drive Mokka X then you'll have to settle for a petrol engine. Top speed and acceleration figures vary across the configurations, although torque stays the same at 320 Nm. The quickest to 62 miles per hour is the front-wheel drive manual at 9.9 seconds, followed by the four-wheel drive manual at 10.3 seconds and the front-wheel drive automatic at 10.9 seconds. Top speed is 118 miles per hour for the manual front-wheel drive, 117 miles per hour for the automatic front-wheel drive and 116 miles per hour for the manual four-wheel drive. Overall, the 136 horsepower version is the one to go for if you're after a diesel Mokka X, offering strong gear performance and a more refined character than the lesser 110 horsepower derivative. The hefty 320 Nm of torque makes overtaking surprisingly swift and motorway cruising a satisfyingly easy task. Vauxhall Mokka X gearbox options. Mokka X drivers have a choice between a 5-speed manual 1.6i petrol only, 6-speed manual and 6-speed auto transmissions. Both manuals are easy enough to use, but the auto version is jerkier than offerings on rival cars and dulls the engine's responses. Plus, instead of the commonly used manual override gearshift paddles behind the wheel, the Mokka X uses plus buttons which feel unnatural and force you to move your hands away from their usual position on the wheel. Reasonably assured handling with decent grip levels. Far from being performance-focused, all-wheel drive adds traction in slippery conditions. It's unlikely you're buying a Vauxhall Mokka X because you're looking for a sharp and involving driving experience. Even so, it still handles itself in a predictable and reasonably assured manner for an SUV. Just don't expect much in the way of fun along the way. There's a bit of body roll as you would expect from a tall SUV car like this, and the steering isn't exactly brimming with information. Push hard and you'll find both front and four-wheel drive cars wash wide when provoked, particularly in the wet, resulting in the traction control stepping in to gather things back up. The intelligent four-wheel drive if fitted aids traction levels in poor driving conditions but doesn't give you seemingly endless traction like Audi's Quattro system. It is predominantly front-wheel drive in order to save fuel, but can switch from sending 100% of power forwards to a 50 hours 50 minutes front-rear distribution when driving conditions demand it. Functional interior isn't particularly stylish. All buttons and dials are easy to read and use, however ergonomics spoiled by significant blind spots. Being sat behind the wheel of the Mokka X is a firmly functional affair. There's a good level of adjustment in the seat and steering wheel, the latter including rake and reach, and the general driving position is in line with other cars in the sector. The major buttons are easy to use, but not particularly attractive, nor do they feel in any way premium. The same can be said for the dials which, although clear, look seriously dated. Further down the cabin is the cheap and nasty-feeling manual handbrake lever and automatic gear stick if fitted. The latter is made out of hard plastics and isn't exactly a joy to use. Straight-ahead visibility is reasonable, despite the high dashboard, but both the A and B pillars are quite thick, creating potential blind spots on roundabouts and motorways. Graphics on the black and white digital dashboard display are primitive but clear, while the infotainment system is reasonably responsive and benefits from a handful of well-placed physical buttons. Jittery ride quality could be better. Front seats won't suit everyone. Good levels of adjustment, though you would expect a high-sided family SUV to ride with ample composure and flexibility. Yet, unfortunately, the Mokka X fails on both counts. The suspension feels firmer than it should and translates bumps and judders into the cabin with disappointing frequency. Admittedly, it stops short of being harsh or crashy, yet there's always the feeling that the suspension fails to ever settle properly over poor road surfaces. Road noise levels are also at the upper end of acceptability and can be intrusive when traveling across rough sections of tarmac. The seats do a decent job in terms of outright comfort, but depending on your height and body shape can be awkward to sit in. They feel a touch overstuffed too, plus there's little in the way of side support, not that you'll likely be herring around bends. One impressive aspect, though, is the level of adjustability in the front seats, capable of accommodating a wide range of driving positions. There's even a neat fold-down armrest, which, providing you can get comfortable, give the driver's seat an armchair-like feel. 5 trim levels to choose from. Base spec active. The most popular excellent range of standard kit on all versions. There are 5 trim levels to choose from on the Vauxhall Mokka X: Active, Design Nav, Elite, Elite Nav and Ultimate. Note that although Design Nav offers more kit than Active trim, it actually has a lower list price. This is because it's predominantly aimed at fleet buyers. It can be bought by private customers, too, but not using attractive finance offers. Standard Vauxhall Mokka X SUV equipment. The best-selling Mokka X also happens to be the base-spec active trim model. However, equipment levels are still impressive, with DAB digital radio, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth phone connectivity, a 7.0-inch color infotainment screen, front and rear parking sensors, dual-zone climate control and cruise control all coming as standard. 4-wheel drive active models also get hill descent control as standard. Upping to Design Nav brings the addition of SatNav with European mapping and a larger 8.0-inch touchscreen. Splash out a little more on an Elite spec Mokka X and you get heated sports front seats with leather facings, a heated steering wheel, 18-inch alloy wheels depending on engine, tinted rear windows and chrome exterior detailing. Upgrading to Elite Nav adds the same SatNav package as on Design Nav spec. Introduced in June 2017 as the top spec Ultimate trim. Like Elite Nav, it comes with all the active trim kit, plus heated sports seats and SatNav. The main difference lies in the styling additions, which give the Mokka an altogether sportier look. This includes 19-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels, the premium Sport Line pack including dark effect front and rear lower bumper inserts, plus silver effect side sills, dark tinted rear windows, alloy effect door sill covers and chrome effect side window trim. Optional Vauxhall Mokka X SUV extras. Should customers wish to supplement the impressive standard equipment on the Mokka X, there's a range of optional kit to choose from. This includes a rear view camera to help with parking, a Bose premium sound system and a sunroof. Also available is a clever headlight system called Premium LED Adaptive Forward Lighting or AFL. Vauxhall claims that the technology takes into account vehicle speed, steering angle and whether the indicators are activated in order to light the road ahead as effectively as possible. High beam assist and automatic headlight leveling are included in the tech. Expected 3 or 4-star Euro NCAP crash rating. Lack of autonomous safety kit limits score 2 ICE-FIX points in total. While the Vauxhall Mokka X hasn't been put through the Euro NCAP testing regime, its predecessor the Mokka did very well indeed, scoring the maximum 5 stars, albeit in an easier testing era. As with the old car, you get front, side impact, and curtain bags, plus ICE-FIX child seat mounts for the outer rear seats. You also get electronic stability control as standard plus hill start assist and traction control, making it easier to complete maneuvers in tricky situations. However, many forms of autonomous safety tech are not available on the Mokka X, limiting the maximum safety rating which the car can achieve. Rival cars have gadgetry such as autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring and lane departure warning in order to try and prevent accidents, thus improving their Euro NCAP rating. Reasonably sized boot with easy-to-access load bay, enough space in the back for 2 adults. 3 on short journeys. Wide rear doors make access tricky in tight spaces. Practicality levels are reasonable but not class-leading. There's 356 liters of boot space, which can be boosted to 1,305 liters by dropping the 60 hours 40 minutes split rear seats. Note, however, that they don't fold flat, meaning long, heavy items may need to be manhandled into the available load bay. Crossover rivals such as the Renault Captur and Mitsubishi ASX offer more outright luggage room, but the Mokka X has enough for day-to-day use. There are plenty of small storage cubbies to tuck things away into in the front of the car, plus good-sized door pockets for those in the back. The rear seats are spacious and comfy enough, plus those sat in the middle should be satisfied on short to medium-distance journeys. Another nice touch is the second row seats positioned higher up than usual in order to provide a better view forward. However, a higher rear door line means that smaller passengers may struggle to see out of the side windows. Also be aware of the chunky rear doors hindering access in tight spaces. It's not the end of the world, but could make loading a car seat into the back an unnecessarily tricky task.